In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to replace your steering wheel on your 5th gen Ram HD truck. So we're going to start right into it. I'm going to link above here a separate video on how to take the airbag off if you don't already. I know some of you might say, hey, we want to see it again, but it's a pretty in-depth process. I'll go over it quickly for you guys. Definitely, first thing you want to do, the hood is popped, both batteries are disconnected, so make sure that that is disconnected before you attempt any of this stuff. What happens here is there's these two spring tabs right here. So if you guys have ever worked on your Charger Challengers, they have the same system. What you can do, and what I would recommend doing, is take a cheap screwdriver. I got my Harbor Freight Pittsburgh special here. Cut the end clean off and then make yourself a V-groove like that. So this screwdriver, or whatever you decide to use, if you get a screwdriver like this and it is perfectly the size for this hole, it's going to occupy the space as much as possible and give you guys the best possible chance at hooking onto this tab. So what you're doing is you're coming in and trying to press on this metal spring tab, and as you press down on the spring tab, it is going to be pushing this metal spring tab this way, which is releasing it off of these two hooks here. So again, video up above. I'll also put it down in the description, going into full depth on taking this off, but it's a pretty involved process just getting the bag out, but that is essentially how you get it out. There's a hole on each side. You put your tool in. You can try using one of these mechanics screwdrivers, but I recommend sacrificing a little screwdriver if you guys are going to be doing this more than once, because it is a pain. Even if you're not doing more than once, it's still better to do it this way. Once you get this off, the 1500 guys have it a little bit easier as far as getting these steering wheels off. These ones are a pressed on fit. You can try wiggling it, which we'll try to do just for fun on this, but the best way to get it off is to use a 2-jaw puller, and I'll show you guys that method also. But essentially what we're going to do here is we're going to unplug the steering wheel. So if we unplug right here, that is our one plug there. And then pretty much the steering wheel is ready to come off. So outside of disconnecting the bag, like you see there, it's just that one plug that plugs into the clock spring, and then she's ready to come out. So we got a 13 mil bolt. Let's loosen this off. I'm gonna loosen it off maybe 1/4 of an inch, give ourselves 1/4 of an inch, so that if I end up pulling on this thing like a maniac and it does pop off, that I'm not gonna punch myself in the face. So let me try it that way. I've seen some people have success on, wrestling this thing and freeing it loose. Let's see if it works. And if that doesn't work, then we'll resort to the 2-jaw puller method. All right, here we go. Okay, so we've got enough room to be able to potentially yank this thing off. Some people said they kind of gave it a bunch of these. That's what I would say. On the 1500, these guys have a nut that's on here, and they just take the nut off, and it's a easy way of getting it off. Us 2500 guys, or 3500 guys, let's just say. Oh, I might have actually got it. Oh, it worked. It actually worked. You guys heard that big pop? That was it letting go. So you can wrestle it off. I'll show you guys the 2-jaw method that I used. I'll just insert that video here. I'm also gonna have a separate video, but I managed to get it off wrestling it like a gorilla. But definitely make sure you keep your bolt on there, otherwise it could get exciting. All right, if you're trying to remove a 5th gen HD steering wheel for your Ram 2500 or 3500 trucks, I'm sure you probably got to this point and wondered, how do you get this thing off? All the 1500 guys, they don't have a bolt. They have a nut, and then once they take that nut off, the wheel just slides off. But on the 25 and 3500 trucks, it is a pressed fit. So you need to come up with some sort of 2-jaw puller to get this thing off. So I've got this puller here, but you'll notice this is the key right here. This is applying outward pressure on the arms, and the hook is like this. I'll show you guys once I take it out. But having this with sufficient force outwards on these arms and the hooks back there is key. Some people will use this type of puller and they'll thread it into the bolt hole. I don't like doing that because I don't like marring up the threads. I usually like to press on the bolt, so that's what I did with mine. And let me take this arm out right here just so you guys can kind of see the setup here. So I kind of had to assemble the 2-jaw puller in here. So once I get this out here, I kind of have everything with some tension on it to show you guys how I did it.
but there you go. So the way I put these arms in was like that. So see this hook? I put it in here and I hooked on the outside like that. So hooked right there. So there's not anything that I could find that hooks here. It's a smooth surface on the inside, but on the outside, that's where you want to hook. Don't pull on these. I've seen people snap those off, so don't do that to yourself, and then you have to buy a whole new wheel. But on the inside, and then use this to apply outward force like that. So that's how you get the actual wheel off, and yeah, hopefully that helps you guys out.
Okay, so now we can continue to take the bolt out, and then the steering wheel will come off. Zip the bolt the rest of the way off. There is, on some of them, just watch your cables, there is this weight on some of them, you guys, here. So some of the steering wheels will have this weight at the bottom. So just leave it in there, or if you need to transfer it to your new wheel, you might have to finagle it out of there. Also, make sure your connector stays at the top. Don't spin your clock spring around or lose the orientation. If you look right here, you'll see this arrow line up with that arrow right there. And when you do that, this will be at the very top. So just don't spin this, don't mess with it. You don't want to end up buying a new clock spring, spinning this thing around and losing its orientation. Also, it's important to keep your steering wheel, set the wheel straight. If you guys are going to be replacing the clock spring, make sure that your wheels are straight, because you're going to want this to be smack in the center when you're installing this. Anyways, that's gonna be it, you guys. So I know once you guys see how to remove it, you guys are gonna click off the video, you guys can figure out the reassembly. It's just the reverse steps of what we just did. But if you guys are interested in RAM content, we got a ton of stuff on this channel, all kinds of mods. So you can see here, we got the limited cluster, limited door panels, the limited center console, seats, everything. We've been upgrading this truck. The truck was originally a tradesman edition, and we've been upgrading everything to the premium version, including the steering wheel. So we're actually taking the steering wheel off to install one that has the volume buttons on the back side of it. So if you guys are curious on that, I'll have a video for you guys on that and programming the buttons, making sure everything works. Anyways, check out the other videos. Give this video a thumbs up if it helped you guys in any way. Subscribe if you haven't already. Catch you guys on the next video.